What's going on, you guys? Frost here, and I'm back with another guide. This time I'll be telling you guys how I play Zac jungle. If you find this guide helpful in any way, please do remember to click that like button, as this will help me get this guide out there to more people. Also, if anything changes that will affect this guide, there will be an update in the description. The following subjects will be mentioned in this guide: champion description, abilities, leveling order, runes, masteries, the item build, and the jungle strategy. If you want to go to a specific subject, you can click on it right now. Champion description. Zac is a tanky jungler with a lot of sustain. He has great ganks due to the massive range on his E, meaning that he can gank from unexpected angles. He also scales insanely well into the later stages of the game because he pretty much becomes unkillable. The main downside about Zac is that if you build him full tank, you will have to rely on your team to win the game, because you won't be able to do enough to carry by yourself. This is easily fixed by going for a more damage heavy build. So if you like a tanky jungler that is quite easy to play with great sustain and ganks, Zac is definitely the champion for you. Zac's abilities. His passive, Cell Division. Every time Zac damages at least one enemy with an ability, and for every enemy champion beyond the first hit by Elastic Slingshot, he sheds a chunk of himself to a nearby location which lands towards visible nearby enemy champions, if any, and lasts for 6 seconds. Zac and enemies can move over these chunks to consume them. And if Zac walks over them, he heals for 4% of his maximum health. Upon taking fatal damage, Zac splits into 4 uncontrollable bloodlets that move into a final location over 8, going down to 4 seconds depending on your level. If any of these bloodlets remain at the end of the duration, Zac recombines and returns at 10 to 50% of his maximum health based on his bloodlet's total remaining health. His first ability, Stretching Strike. Zac punches out in a line, dealing magic damage to all enemies he hits and slowing them for 2 seconds. His second ability, Unstable Matter. Zac's body explodes outwards, dealing magic damage to all nearby enemies, capped against minions and monsters. Zac also ignores unit collision against monsters damaged by Unstable Matter. Zac reduces Unstable Matter's cooldown by 1 second every time he picks up a chunk of Cell Division. This is your main damaging skill when clearing your jungle camps. You want to make sure you always use this skill first before you pick up any of your blobs. His third ability, Elastic Slingshot. Upon first cast, Zac channels for a short duration, increasing Elastic Slingshot's range over a cone in a targeted direction. If Zac moves during this skill, the ability is automatically cancelled, refunding half of its cost and cooldown. Then, upon the second cast, Zac dashes towards the targeted location, dealing magic damage to all nearby enemies upon impact and knocking them up for 1 second. This is your main skill when it comes to ganking because it has a massive range and it allows you to come from unexpected angles to CC your opponent. His fourth ability, Let's Bounce. Zac bounces 4 times and gains bonus movement speed as he does so, beginning at 20% and increasing to 50% over the duration. But he also disables his ability to use his basic attacks, and he will only be able to use his W whilst bouncing around. Each bounce deals magic damage to the nearby enemies, knocking them back for 1 second and subsequently slowing them by 20% for 1 second. Enemies can be damaged by multiple bounces, with each bounce beyond the first dealing half damage but applying no knockback. This skill is great for disrupting the enemy team in any sort of fight. As soon as you use it, they will have to try to stay away from you to be able to win fights. Leveling these abilities. On level 1 I start with my W because this will give you the fastest initial camp clear. On level 2 you want to take your Q for the extra damage and because it has a lower cooldown than your E does, so you can use it more often on your buff camp. Then on level 3 you want to take your E to have all of your skills and the ability to start ganking lanes if the opportunity arises. As far as maxing goes, you want to max your E first because this gives you the extra range you need to gank more effectively. You want to max your Q second for the most extra damage output, and you want to max your W last because this skill does percentage health damage and does not need the extra points into it to deal a lot more damage. And of course, you'll want to level your R whenever possible. The runes. I go for 9 flat attack speed marks, 9 scaling health seals, 9 scaling cooldown reduction glyphs, and 3 scaling cooldown reduction quints. I go for the flat attack speed marks because this helps you out the most in clearing your jungle camps early on. Then I take the scaling health seals to have a bigger health pool, which is very useful on Zac. However, you can also choose to go for scaling armor seals instead. This is completely up to what you prefer. Then I go for the scaling CDR in both Quint and Glyphs because this gives you a total of 30% CDR on level 18. Combine that with the 10% CDR from your Spirit Visage and you will have the full 40% cooldown reduction in the late game. And this is a very nice thing on Zac because cooldowns are the only thing that prevents you from using your abilities. The masteries. I go for 12, 0, 18 on Zac. In the ferocity tree I pick up the increased spell damage because, let's be honest, most of Zac's damage is spell damage. Then I pick up the extra damage in double-edged sword, but if you want you can also go for exposed weakness. This is fully up to you. In the end, I take oppressor mastery because Zac has plenty of CC to make full use of this. Then in the resolve tree I go for things that help me sustain, and in the end I take strength of the ages because I want to have a bigger health pool on Zac. The item build. There are two types of item builds for Zac. The first build will be your average tank build for Zac that will be very consistent and very good. And the second build is a more damage oriented build that will help you a lot in carrying your solo queue games on your own instead of having to rely on your team. Pick these builds depending on which style you prefer to play with the most. Let's get into the first build. Starting off, you want to pick up a Hunter's Talisman with a refillable potion. You do this because the talisman will give you a lot of sustain due to the fact that you'll be using your spells a lot to clear your camps. And the refillable potion will be plenty of sustain because of this. After your initial clear, you want to go back and pick up the Tracker's upgrade to your jungle item. At this point, you want to start building into a Cinderhulk. You get this enchant simply because it will help you get the tankiest out of all of them. After completing your jungle item, you want to start building into a Spirit Visage as soon as possible. However, you can make the choice to slow it down a little bit by picking up your Ninja Tabis first because you need more armor in this situation. You want to get a Spirit Visage for two reasons. One, because this gives Zac a lot of extra sustain, and two, because it gives him that 10% extra CDR he needs to cap out to 40% when you combine it with your runes. After finishing your boots and Spirit Visage, you want to pick up a Rylai's. Rylai's is a godlike item on Zac because it adds a lot of extra CC to his already great kit. It will offer you a bit of extra damage and health as well, which is also really nice. After Rylai's, your only goal is to get tankier. I do this by picking up Randuin's and a ZZ Rot Portal. The Randuin's is specially to go against the enemy AD carry, and the portal is to go against both types of damage. If the enemy is full AD, then you can replace the portal with a Thornmail because this will be more useful in that situation. Then for the second build, this is the build I prefer to use the most because, let's be honest, how much can you actually rely on your team to do something in solo queue? You start off the same way, but instead of going for the Cinderhulk enchant, you pick up the Runic Echoes one. After this, you want to build yourself a pair of Sorks into a Haunting Guise. This combination gives you a lot of flat magic pen, which at this stage in the game pretty much means that you'll be dealing true damage to anybody that hasn't built Magic Resist yet. After this, you want to start building into a Rylai's for the same reasons as before. After Rylai's, you want to finish off your Haunting Guise into a Liandry's. This item combination will give you all the damage you need for the rest of the game. So now you want to build some tank items in the form of Spirit Visage and Randuin's. These are the two best defensive items per slot for Zac in this build. The jungle strategy. In the background right now you can see the jungle clear for both sides of the map. Whilst this is playing, I want to talk to you guys a bit about what you should do with Zac in your average game. So first up, when clearing your camps, make sure that you are picking up your blobs whilst your W is on cooldown, so you shave off a few seconds from that cooldown to get the ability back faster. This way you'll be able to sustain your jungle better and farm faster in the process. As soon as you get your E ability, you will be able to start ganking lanes. But I would recommend waiting with the ganks until you hit level 5 because you will have a lot more points into your E at this point, and this will make ganking a lot easier due to the increased range. Ganks with Zac are very simple. You just want to make sure you land your E on the enemy champion. As soon as you land your E on the enemy, land your Q to slow or simply press R to CC them further. Now when it comes to teamfighting with Zac, you want to make sure you do one of two things depending on which item build you went for. If you went for the more tanky build, then you want to peel for your team the best you can to keep the carries alive. If you went for the damage build on Zac, you want to dive onto the enemy carries in fights to pretty much delete them and move the fight along from there. With the range of Zac's slingshot ability, getting to the enemy backlines should not be a problem at all. Thank you guys so much for watching this guide. If you've enjoyed it or learned anything from it, please do remember to click that like button right below this video, as this helps me get this video out there. If you would like to see more guides like this in the future, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!